Hi, I have a question for you. If our country was attacked by another country, do you have total faith that all of the 534 elected officials in our Congress would defend the United States, or would they defend the other country? That's something that you really have to think about. Do you have total faith that all of these people that you and I have elected from all over the country, do you have total faith that they would stand for the United States of America? That's a terrible question that someone has to ask, but it's something that we have to think about. I know, of course, we all had differences of opinions when we attacked someone else, but if we were attacked, a time when all of us should stand together as Americans, do you have total confidence that everybody that was elected in our U.S. Congress would stand for the United States of America?
To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the
Do you have total confidence that our Supreme Court, every one of them, would stand for the United States? Do you have confidence that all of our federal judges would stand for the United States? Or would you be afraid that some of them would betray us and side with whomever is attacking our country? The reason I ask that is I remember when I was getting my master's degree and we were discussing why the War Powers Act gave the president discretion where they did not have to include all of Congress. And I was one of those people at that time. I was in my 30s, whatever. I was one of those people that was arguing that everybody needed to be involved. And I'm so blessed that I had a professor that said to me, he said, the reason they cannot be included is because you can never trust 534 people. He said, in order for our country to be secure, the president of the United States must have total power to protect our country. The president alone, he is the chief of the commander in chief, and that is why he is the commander in chief. He must be able to talk to the people, the top people in his administration and in his military, to protect our country without having the emotional parts that some elected officials would have. And it was so funny because they said me. They were like, look at you. I'm over here being all emotional saying, well, I think everybody has a right. He said, that's what we are afraid of. People like you that would be so concerned about the rights of everybody that we would allow our country to be taken by another country. So if you look, this is the War Powers Act. That's why it gives the president total authority to do whatever he needs to do or she needs to do to protect our country from any enemy, foreign or domestic, and it gives him at least 48 hours to respond before he even has to notify Congress. That is the War Powers Act. 48 hours that the president has in order to notify Congress. And notifying Congress does not mean notifying 534 people. Notifying Congress normally means to notify the Speaker of the House and maybe the Senate Majority Leader. That is what notifying the Congress means. It does not mean notifying everyone. And then on top of that, it gives them 60 days to do whatever he needs to do or she needs to do before Congress has to even respond. And then they can even give an extension. And because we have people like these people,
and you made the comment earlier about, notifying Congress beforehand. That cannot happen in this situation. We do not have trustworthy people in Congress, especially on the left side of the aisle. If you tell Crockett and Tlaib and Omar and Presley and even Thomas Massie and people in our party like this at this particular point, you might as well put the Ayatollah on the phone as well. We cannot afford to do that. Our operational security is reliant on the secrecy that surrounds it. And that's what happened. And the president had no obligation to inform Congress beforehand anyways, and I'm glad he did not.
So you believe had the president told certain congressional members, your colleagues on the left, like Thomas Massie, like AOC, like Iman, like you just mentioned the names, they could have leaked it?
I believe absolutely that they thrive on the media attention that they get from these issues, from, sacrificing their credibility on these 90-10 issues. I think they would have talked about it. They would have talked about it online. They wouldn't have been, just directly informed our enemies, obviously, but they would have talked about it. There would have been leaks that would have come back to put our U.S. troops and those pilots and everyone surrounding them from the logistical standpoint in great risk. And I just don't encourage that. That's just not something we can do in today's environment with the social media and the people that thrive on the media attention that comes from things like this. It can't happen.
Because of people like that, it even gives the president a chance to have an extension so that the president can protect our country.